Fan service, a hotly debated topic that has been screamed about behind keyboards for as long as the internet has existed. Specifically the more spicy kind, rather than the neat callouts or Easter eggs. And don't get me wrong, I think most of us enjoy some good fan service.
Don't we all?
I mean, I've seen people only attracted to men lose their minds at a well-designed and posed waifu. With the Easter egg kind, I'm still thriving off of that small cameo of Blaze in Robots in Disguise 2015. It's not an anime, I just want to talk about Transformers. Anyway, back on topic. Sexy fan service is fun, it's cool, but when does it become too much? That's right, we're dipping our toes into something that may be controversial, but we're talking about the over-sexualization of women in anime. It's an odd issue with fine lines to walk. I'm not here to say that women aren't allowed to be sexual in anime, just that it often goes too far and into uncomfortable zones. An example of good fan service is the Apothecary Diaries, where, yes, there are sexy women in the show. The premise is based on the idea of courtesans, after all, but not every woman in the show is sexualized. The main character is noted to be pretty and attractive, but she's not out here breasting boobily at all times like a lot of women in anime I can think of do. There's a balance of women in this anime being people. Not every single one is an object to be groped and fantasized over. Jujutsu Kaisen is similarly respectful with its women, where characters like Nobara aren't sexualized at all, while Mei Mei, well, maybe it's just creepy. Like, she's hot at first until that scene where she's in bed with her brother, but that might be a cultural thing and not sexual? I don't know. Well, there's Attack on Titan, which has no sexual fan service, which is kind of a breath of fresh air in anime.
At last.
Full Metal Alchemist is another example. They have sexy female characters. One of their female villains is literally called Lust. She's based around the 7 deadly sins. But they also have a lot of unsexualized women, such as Erza Hawkeye, who has a modest uniform that matches her male counterparts. It's the best of both worlds. But I feel like in most cases, fan service goes like way too far. It's often a constant in anime. You look up male armor and it's all stuff that covers and would reasonably keep you from dying. You look up female anime armor and it's molded breastplates that would guide a blade to your vital organs, or they're too small and expose the belly, mini skirts and exposed legs. Erza Scarlet, I love you so much, but girl, what are you doing? There's almost always a clean shot to her heart, besides her base outfit, which all of her limbs could easily be cut off. She does not need to lose more body parts. Or we have shows like The 7 Deadly Sins, where the female protagonist is constantly being groped without her consent, and is often visibly uncomfortable, and it's played for laughs. And the kids in the show, we'll get to the children. I tried to find men who were over-sexualized like this too in anime, but I genuinely couldn't. The closest I got to men in revealing outfits was like Kirishima from My Hero Academia, which isn't particularly revealing in a sexual way, and Alucard from Castlevania, who I believe is done tastefully. It's an odd reflection to see how we view women as inherently sexual objects while men are just like not. It often gets uncomfortable when almost every female character in anime gets a weird boob shot or a nude scene, especially if they're minor, and yes, we're finally getting to it. The sexualization of minors in anime is honestly pretty upsetting. While researching this video, characters I was going to bring up as fine sexualization, I realized were minors, like Ryuko from Kill la Kill. Like, it's obvious, since she's a high schooler, but it genuinely didn't cross my mind because of how casual it is. Or in My Hero Academia, where kids like Momo are getting their clothes shredded in the USJ arc. Or Ururaka is commenting on how tight her uniform turned out when she first shows up in it. Or the constant jokes about Hagekure being naked because she's invisible.
Hagakure's using her quirk to our advantage, but it's kind of weird to know there's a naked girl standing by me.
Or that scene where Hatsume presses her chest against Deku. The shot where all the girls are in the hot spring. I could go on and on. While revealing or tight clothes isn't inherently sexual, it's the way they're treated that makes the difference. Kirishima is wearing this weird like reverse sleeveless shirt because it makes him look manly and he doesn't need armor and isn't treated weird because of it. The girls are absolutely treated weird. In Seven Deadly Sins, there's a disgusting amount of weird age stuff. King has been in love with Diane since she was little. Well, little figuratively, because she's a giant, but you know. And then there's this really gross scene where as a kid she's stripped naked in front of him, and it is so gross. And Elaine, despite being a fully grown fairy, taking on the look of a child while dating Bon. We see the fairy shapeshift. She chooses this, and obviously the author made this really odd choice. Elizabeth grew up with Meliodas being an immortal adult while she was little, and he went on to grope her.
Wait, what?
Without her consent when he first met her, and she was like older, but still a minor. She was 16. And like a lot of anime centers around teenagers, and a lot of anime is super sexual. And like, I'll admit, Western media has the same issues of over-sexualizing teenagers with shows like Euphoria, and I hate it. But goodness gracious, it is so bad in anime. Don't even get me started on lollies. And no, I don't want to see, but the age of consent in Japan is 13. No, it's not. For one, it's now 16. They raised it because they realized it was creepy. But even before then, pedophilia was not okay in Japan. The age of consent in the US is also 16, and it's not for adults to, do the tango with them. The age of consent is for kids of the same age to be together because, that's what teenagers do. But adults shouldn't be, sexualizing kids, even if that's what, teenagers are full of hormones, Those sorts of relationships have a bad effect on kids, where, an adult is with a kid. It, messes with their brains. It doesn't matter the culture. It's traumatizing. They're not informed or mature enough to consent, while an adult is. And yes, they may not be real, but we still care and react like they're real. That's why we find attractive anime characters hot, because they're akin to reality. If you're sexualizing a child that is akin to a real child, it's sexualizing that reality. Now, what's the solution to this? How do we solve this problem? My proposal is to stop sexualizing minors, of course, but we need to have an equal ratio of fan service of male characters. If I see a woman in bikini armor, I better see a man in bikini armor too. Equal rights, equal fights. In tiny armor. I see absolutely nothing wrong with this. I mean, look at JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. They've got it figured out. Now, of course, my word isn't law, besides the minor thing. That is the law. But otherwise, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Should there be no holds barred on fan service? Should there be no fan service at all? Make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives like this. Bye-bye!